You might call this the little brother to the massive Hoover Dam. The Imperial Dam here near Yuma, not far from the Mexican border, stops those same Colorado River waters. Tens of thousands of tons of river silt are removed in giant basins. Then the water moves on into 3 canals. 2 of them lead to fields in Arizona. The third is called the All-American Canal. It delivers water to California's Imperial Valley. 500,000 acres, producing more than $1 billion worth of food each year. That's where Eric Alvarez picks up the story.
Water, the lifeblood of farming.
This was a desert. It's created into what I call an oasis.
Jack Vesey is a 4th-generation grower in California's Imperial Valley. He's inspecting the sprinkler system that irrigates his 10,000-acre farm east of San Diego and just north of the Mexican border.
What we grow is iceberg lettuce, spinach, spring mix, broccoli, cauliflower.
Some $69 million in lettuce is grown here each year, $51 million in broccoli. But none of these crops would be possible without hundreds of millions of gallons of water channeled into these valleys from the Colorado River. More than 1 million acres of lush farmland made possible by a system of canals and irrigation ditches now in use for decades. The desert here began blooming in 1901 with the construction of a canal that diverted water from the Colorado. But diversion controls broke down a few years later, flooding a low-lying sink that became the Salton Sea.
Because of that flood, one of the main things was built was the old Boulder Dam, or some call it the Hoover Dam as well.
Indeed, this Southern California farmland had become so promising and productive, the pressure was building in Washington to control the Colorado. It took decades from that first flood to complete the project, but the Hoover Dam now provides consistent water flow to regions that were previously often underwater. 3 large canals feed the Imperial Valley. A 4th runs north past the Salton Sea and feeds the Coachella Valley over 90 miles away.
It's all gravity flow from the Colorado River, goes to Yuma, comes up the Coachella Valley Canal, and then right here there's a gate that comes down to our fields into the reservoir here for storage.
Jeff PERCY is an executive with Ocean Mist Farms. Unlike the overhead sprinklers used on the Vesey family farm, drip irrigation is utilized in many of the Ocean Mist fields. The unfiltered river water, however, contains sand, silt, and other debris that can clog the small drip emitters. So the water first sits and settles in one of the company's reservoirs. Ocean Mist builds up its supply of clean irrigation water in preparation for winter crops like artichokes, cauliflower, celery, lettuce, spinach, and broccoli. They'll be planted on the company's 5,300 acres.
I believe the water from the Colorado River feeds probably 80% of the produce that's being supplied in the winter months. So most of the people in New York, Canada, Philadelphia, or wherever are getting it from one of the 3 valleys, Coachella, Yuma, or Imperial Valley.
The farmers say they don't actually pay for the water itself, they pay for the transit system that delivers the water from the Colorado River and its adjacent canals to these irrigation ditches and finally to their farms. They say their cost is approximately between $17 and $25 per acre foot of water. And how much water is an acre foot? A little more than 326,000 gallons, or enough to cover an entire football field with 1 foot of water.
Well, here in the Imperial Valley, 98% of the water used is used for agriculture, and 2% is used for the municipalities.
Between the Imperial and Coachella valleys, more than 1 million acres are currently in production. And with each acre requiring hundreds of thousands of gallons annually, you can understand how critical the Colorado River water has become. But the demand for residential water is growing. Some experts believe that California may soon suffer a water shortage.
Well, we might come under what's called an allocation system where we only get so much water per acre. I'm going to have a certain amount of water that I might only be able to grow 1 crop a year, where in years past I can grow 2 crops a year on the same land.
That could mean less produce at higher prices on supermarket shelves.
The consumer in the East Coast might be paying double for lettuce because of the supply and demand.
And the future? Farmers say without strict water conservation measures for growers and city residents, this country could face the prospect of greater quantities of food being produced outside the United States.